It's time for extreme economics. Let's talk about quantitative easing. Quantitative easing. What is quantitative easing? We hear this in the news a lot. Oh, the government has begun a program of quantitative easing. And this is a fancy word where men in suits say, oh, quantitative easing, we think we should continue this quantitative easing blah, 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 blah. What this means is the government is printing money. They're just printing money and they're just giving it out willy-nilly. That is also called liquefying the system. When you liquefy the system, you're printing so much money that it's just like a river flooding the whole system with money. And that's called quantitative easing, because they say that it's going to ease the recession when all it does is make it worse. So what is the objective of quantitative easing? Well, they're printing money to expand the money supply. Expand the money supply. Expand the money supply means that there's going to be more money for everyone. So they want to increase loans to business people, and they want to increase money to consumers to spend on stuff to get the economy going, which of course doesn't work. All it does is produce inflation. Inflation. Now, why does it produce inflation? Because the government is taking the tax from the good companies and they're giving it to the bad companies. Good companies can make the most amount of stuff for the lowest price. Bad companies make nothing for a high price, okay? Because they're bad companies. And that is why prices go up, is because you're taking money out of production and you're putting it into bad production. And that makes less stuff for everyone at a higher price. So quantitative easing, all it does is it takes money from good and it gives it to bad, and the bad goes and spends it on Ferraris and yachts and just give it to themselves and launder it in drugs and do stupid things, and that produces inflation. Okay? Because remember, inflation is caused by inefficiency. And inefficiency is when volumes come down. So if you take money from good companies, they produce lower amounts of stuff, and bad companies produce higher amounts of stuff, which means there's more expensive and less cheap, which means inflation. So the bottom line here is that quantitative easing only produces inflation.